that weren't that missed the first intro. I'm hoping we're in for a fun journey. What I did say before we went to the last breakout was that I had a quick chat with Ben about the context of meetings after he posted something on LinkedIn, and we just had an hilarious talk, and we spoke a lot about the purpose of meetings and how we just sort of by default will set up a meeting and then we don't know what the hell we're doing when we get there. So I'm sure there's going to be a few examples of that as we go through. And
I just resumed it. Don't know what happened there.
Yeah. Someone's censoring you, Ben. Someone's smart.
Yes, CIA again.
So yes, look, I won't hold things up. I think we need to hand it over to the star of the show and get Ben to weave his magic and entrance us with his facilitation and presentation prowess.
Thank you very, very much, Lucas. And thank you to everyone for joining us this evening, no matter where you're joining us from. I'm on Guringai country here in the leafy northern suburbs of Sydney. As you probably know, what we're doing here tonight is having hopefully a good, rich, designy discussion about how to make our meetings better by design, especially design meetings. So a little bit meta. What I want for you this evening is to come away with a fresh look at how you can carry out your design meetings, what they are, how they're put together, how you plan them out, who you plan them with, how you run them, how you follow up afterwards. Now, to do that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to kind of peel back the carapace on them, and we're going to kind of rip out the innards, and we're going to look inside. What exactly are we doing with design meetings? What assumptions are we making? What problems are we supposed to be solving with them? And how can we make them better? That's the spirit of this evening. Loving the engagement so far. And I'm saying that because I think it'd be really weird if we were doing a session together like this evening, all about making meetings better, when we were all like in first gear, you know, engagement wise. So like all these sort of things, you get what you put into it. And I thank you in advance for the energy that you're going to bring to these discussions. We'll be going into breakout groups a couple more times, as I mentioned, to pull meetings apart, look at why those pet peeves that you might have been talking about before are happening, and then we'll go from problem space into the solution space. Hopefully by the end, you'll actually be inspired and energized, and hopefully you'll have some new things that you'll want to try in your own design meetings with you and your team. Sound good? All right. Yep. Okay, got some thumbs up. That's fantastic. Now, I should say too, a little bit more about me. And again, thank you so much, Lucas, for such kind words. It's very humbling. I left a great job at Atlassian before to start my own purpose-driven training platform called Bright Pilots. At the moment, me and soon to be a few other people run online training sessions. At the moment, especially in how to run meetings better, all sorts of meetings. I've got a little bit more to tell you at the end, including a little gift that I've got to pass on to you. So stick around to the very end. But right now is a good time to take a look at the chat in Zoom, because I've put a link to a Miro board. We're going to do a bit of a warm up that I'm going to put Miro to the test. We're going to push it and see how many people we can have in the one board and how many stickies we can put into the one space. So when you see that link, click on that link, get yourself into the Miro board. And once we do that, I will tell you what we're doing next. All right, so I can see us all in there, which is fantastic. Now, you'll see at the top, it says question 1, what are your ingredients for an ideal road trip experience? That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set a timer. It's only 2 minutes. What I want you to do is, as many ideas as you can think of, What are your ingredients for an ideal road trip experience? And go. 2 minutes. Many as you want. Let's fill that space. You guys are on fire. Look at that. Let's go all the way. Ingredients for an ideal road trip experience. And by the way, the more specific, the better. You can be totally selfish. Make it exactly what you want. Bit over half a minute to go. Fuck myself. Love it.
Who says teamwork's good? I wasn't on mute then.
All right, 10 more seconds. If you got an idea, let's smash it out right now and put it into that first area. Okay. Now, Ben, you're still there, sir?
Sure am.
Brilliant, brilliant. May I ask your help? Could you weave your magic facilitation synthesis powers, take a quick scan over and perhaps just report for us, what are some trends and highlights that you're seeing here in all these amazing ideas that people have put in?
So one of the strongest themes I've seen is music or an audio book. There's a bit of food going on. There's some very logistics, practical focused people with a spreadsheet and a map.
That's important.
Then you also have the antithesis of that of getting lost. So maybe ignoring said map.
That's important too.
There's some people who like to have fun because we've got some Mary Jane and I added my fear and loathing. Good company is another one. A bit of singing to
love that.
music. A working car as being the lower threshold. And there's also a awesome car to drive, amazing car to drive as a higher threshold.
Yes. That's good.
Good weather, somewhere to go, good people. They seem to be the key themes. Anyone else, feel free to shout out. A toilet break on the way.
That's good. That's good. I'm seeing a few there about children, preferably asleep.
Preferably somewhere else.
Yes. All right. Hey, well done, everyone. Unless anyone has a burning desire to shout out their own idea, this is me just giving you a chance to do that.
Yeah, I was just trying to find my sticky note. I wanted a mute button for my 5-year-old.
Oh.
Good precaution, good precaution. All right, so thank you very much for that. What we're going to do now is spend another 2 minutes going down into the space below it. Question 2, why did you put that ingredient? What makes your ingredient important? So here's where I want you to try to kind of resist that lovely designer urge to solve everyone's problems and synthesize. You can be totally, totally selfish. Just think about what you put. What's so important to you about what you put for the road trip? 2 minutes and go. This is fantastic. Well done, guys. Well done. Bit under a minute to go. All right, about 10 more seconds. Okay. Ben, we have some very intelligent people here. Despite what you said before, I think there's very, I'm kidding. Ben, can you please weave your synthesis magic again? Now, what sort of themes do you see?
Some of them don't have any context, so I'm going to make some assumptions, but there's some stuff around mood, so fun and laughter and feeling relaxed and smiling. Some which I assume are related to who to go with, and that ranges from not getting bored to I don't want to be stuck in the car with anyone. So I'm assuming the why to that one, or the why is from I want to be by myself. Want to enjoy my own companies, so I think that's also another one. Getting lost in the art of exploration.
Yeah, I think that's quite insightful, that one.
Having fun.
Loving that someone needs to emphasize that they love fried chicken.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that relates to the Red Rooster above. Tonight is brought to you by Red Rooster. Be safe. Make it a fun experience.
Yeah. Nice one.
So there's probably, I'd say, fewer themes to the why than to the themes of what makes it ideal. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. Snaps for Ben. Thanks very much for doing that on the fly. Now, while we're looking at this, does anyone else want to kind of offer any insight or reflection on what they see here?
It's probably you're probably going to give this away, but I do find these types of activities are great for showing convergence on around just common themes and common feelings, even though the solution is different. The understanding why is sometimes common. So we have a lot more in common sometimes than we think. Yeah, great call out, actually. And by the way, feel free to steal this as a play, as an exercise, as an activity to do. If ever you're working with a team doing design principles or company values or something like that, asking why, as Lucas said, helps to ladder up to things that can actually unify us, maybe more than what we thought. That said, what I find interesting looking at the variety here, could you do all of this in the same road trip? Yes or no?
No.
No, why not?
I don't know. For example, some people want a relaxing trip where other people might want more kind of adrenaline and adventure. And some other people might want to listen to music where other people might prefer to have other people's company and have some great discussions instead. Yes,
yeah, well pulled out, Annalisa. Well done. So I suppose, like one great take home there is one road trip doesn't suit all, does it? And so I suppose that's the first nugget I want to leave you with this evening and to think about. Often, one design meeting doesn't suit all. Sometimes we kind of put the process, not even before the outcome, but before the experience. This is something that we're going to be digging into. All right, now let's turn now to thinking about those problems that you were talking about. Does anyone want to shout out any kind of pet peeves that they mentioned or heard mentioned in the breakouts before?
I think the one,
are you thinking about?
I think the one I heard, didn't think of myself, but it was quite, hit home, and somebody else in my group said it. It was like, having just somebody take over the meeting and not allow others to speak, just like basically.
Sorry, Kevin, what was that? Yeah, just.
Yeah, just someone, very unlikable.
Thank you, Kevin. I really respect your contribution to this discussion. Thank you very much. Someone else, like what's another issue, pain point, problem that came up about meetings, design meetings?
No clear outcomes.
Unclear outcomes, yeah. I definitely hear that a lot. I've experienced that a lot. One more.
Not being clear on what you're there to talk about, what level of detail we're trying to focus on at this point in the process.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a lot of ambiguity sometimes. Sometimes I refer to it as altitude, like, when people get stuck in the weeds when they should be in the stars or somewhere in the middle, very easy to get drawn down into the weeds. Or maybe we don't even know, what level, what amount of detail, Susan, as you said. Yeah, nice one. Okay. Any others that you really want to get out?
Having a meeting about a meeting about a meeting.
Yes. I think we've all been there. We've been there.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not alone in this. All right. Well, hopefully in those first two breakouts, you did get to sort of spill your guts a bit about, what gets up in your grill about meetings. What we're going to do now is go back into breakouts. And by the way, each of these breakouts are kind of randomized, and that's by design. It's so that, this isn't super serious. Cross-pollination is good. If you want to sort of carry an idea from one breakout to another, that's perfectly fine. But if you get to have discussions with a fresh set of people, that can often spark different connections, or not, but hopefully it does. So for this next breakout, what I want you to do is think about root cause analysis. Think about, why are these problems going on? Okay. Now, to help you with that, there's a prompt in the Miro board, which I'm just going to open up for you now. So question 3, you don't have to add any stickies or anything to this part of the Miro board. This is just for guidance, really. Here's the question you're going to be discussing. Why do we have these problems with our design meetings? And try to dig for insight. And after 8 minutes, we'll all come back, and I'm interested to hear any of those insights. Okay, Ben,
Ready for me
by the power vested in me, please go ahead and kick people out
on your
into
marks.
mystery rooms.
Open all. You should have the option to join another room now.
Have fun, ladies and gentlemen.
And you might want to hit pause on the recording.
Is that panda going to have babies?
Who?
It'll be pandemonium.
Oh, see what you did there.
Someone's calling me about 5 different times, even though I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. Don't know why that's happening, but let's sally forth. Okay, very, very eager to hear any insights that came out. Did anyone uncover any particular insights around root causes around these problems we're having with design meetings?
Yes.
Sarah, please.
So we had a bit of an aha moment. What if none of us have ever had any formal training in how to run a meeting, and no one has got a shared understanding of what good looks like?
That's a really good point. Yeah. What does good meant to look like? Yeah. Schrodinger's meeting. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, you're right, Sarah. And often we don't have much of a point of reference, and so we might, be thinking, yeah, look, this isn't rosy. Not quite sure how to fix it because we don't have a standard. Yeah, good one. Any other insights that came out from anyone else?
Yeah, I might share the conversation I had with Anya and Shannon and Michael, and it was sort of something Shannon triggered, and he said turning up to design meetings as a designer and having a business stakeholder group that aren't necessarily bought into the outcomes. And then we started digging into why that might be the case. And there was sort of an assumption there that they should already see the value in it. And then we were just asking questions, and then Shannon said, well, I was in that position 5 years ago. And then his insight for the value of design was when he saw it in action. And then he sort of touched on, well, we do some storytelling. We're starting to do a lot of that, and it's sort of starting to buy that to generate that buy-in and talk about the why the meeting's important, rather than you need to have a meeting because we're doing CX. I thought there was a really nice insight that Shannon shared in that conversation. So thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. Another insight.
We had a really good discussion in my group with Annalisa, Andy, and Mr. Disco. Yeah, look, we basically said that, not all meeting participants are good facilitators. So you kind of like really do need to have a voice of reason, and it might be someone in our group, that is chosen to be the facilitator, but that's all they do. Like, let them facilitate, not let them be facilitator, get the T's in, and also take the notes. It's like the facilitator does what they do, and they make sure the meeting's on an even keel.
Definitely.
Just to add to Kevin's comment, I think having a really strong agenda, and also the person that facilitates not to be emotionally involved, I think that can help too.
And if I might riff on that, sometimes there are problems that happen when, you have a facilitator, but they're kind of on it, but also wanting to be in it. And everyone can feel that tension as well. That can create some hassles as well. Yeah. I'm going to now jump into some ways, maybe some fresh ways of thinking about design meetings. But before I do that, any other kind of burning insights? Anyone have some reflections they want to share?
The number of people in the meeting.
Well, tell me more.
So if you've got too many people in a meeting, and in particular in an online one, really hard to get the engagement and to get a feel for everybody being in the same journey in the same place. But also just, there's nothing more uncomfortable, particularly in an online meeting where you've got some people who are there but not there.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I think that's an interesting one.
I think online, if you've got people without cameras on, we use this jargon called psychological safety, but it's that real uncomfort. I do not know what this person looks like. I have limited understanding of how they're feeling at this point and how they are responding. And anything more than 9 on my Zoom screen, I can't even see if their face is happy or sad and how they're reacting. And
it really does affect relationship dynamics, doesn't it? Especially if maybe you've been the only one with your camera on and you're just looking at a whole lot of avatars or initials, and you think, oh, look, it may as well be a phone call. And maybe that's okay. And I know that there's some latest research that came out that the main thing, because I don't want to generalize here, but the main thing is having cameras on all day, every day from all these Zoom meetings is fatiguing, especially for those who, and it's a bit of a sort of an interpersonal power dynamic, especially, and this is from the research, women and people who are new to the company, because they're wanting to, as the research says, there's an extra load of energy wanting to make a good impression. And a lot of people don't have their camera on, but then you have to think, well, from the facilitator's point of view, maybe we need to sort of put on a different kind of pair of facilitation pants and think, you know what, it's okay if people don't have their camera on. Once upon a time, we didn't have this technology, and we used to do teleconferences perfectly fine. And part of facilitation skill is being able to read a group purely through audio, you know, by calling the game and asking questions. Hashtag plug, that's definitely something that I get into in my online training. There's a class I do for better meetings for collaboration and engagement. We definitely get into that. Nonetheless, Gretel, thanks for calling that out. It's definitely a real thing, isn't it, where we have these interpersonal dynamics when cameras are off. It's easy to lean out, you know, I think in any sort of online thing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And it's always a bit of a mystery, ladies and gentlemen, about is this going to work properly or not? Hopefully it does. So I'm quickly bowing to the iPad deity, and oh, look, there we go. You can see my screen okay, yeah? I'm also just going to do a quick little thing here so that if I pull out menus and stuff, you're not distracted by that. Okay, so what I want to show you is a few different heuristics, perhaps like ways of thinking about meetings that might be helpful for you when we think about design meetings. And just riffing off a conversation that I had with Lucas the other day, just like you think of the product that you're designing or the service you're designing or the process as an object of design, meetings that you're in and that you're leading can be an object of design. And so what do I mean by that? Well, just like anything you take with a design approach, we need to know the intent, don't we? And hopefully this will catch up. See, this is what happens. I try to use technology and it lets me down. Let's try that again. I'm drawing, but it's not updating. Let's try that again. Yes, it's updating now. Yep. So just like any design project, we need to know the intent, don't we? And we need to know what problem that we're trying to solve. And it might be a particular business problem that we're trying to solve, or maybe we're trying to do a meeting that there's some ambiguity going on in the team, and we think this particular meeting will bring clarity. That's what I mean. And there's also, like any kind of design project, we need to have a good handle on human factors. In other words, these are poorly drawn hands, by the way. What's going on, the way people are thinking and feeling, how do they do their job, things like that. Another good way to think about meetings too is what job are we hiring them to do? You know, so intent, problems, human factors, and then also the kind of materials of meetings. Like what are the, that's not Jupiter, that's meant to be wood. Anyway, the materials of meeting, because part of good design is understanding the substrate that you work with, yeah, if that makes sense. So what I want to impress upon you is when it comes to thinking about designing meetings, thinking about what they're made up of. So in other words, and it's not updating.
Yes.
If this persists, I'll try something else. So we've got several materials, if you like, going on within meetings. We have this idea of time, like the time that each meeting takes, and also the time on people's calendars. We've also got space, and that could be physical space, like people meeting around a table, with a whiteboard. I'm looking at Lucas's whiteboard in the background there, or maybe it's all in virtual space like we are now. So there's this idea of time and space, and also structure. So if you're fond of canvases, visually organizing and structuring a conversation, plays and activities, agendas, things like that. Meetings have a structure that we follow. And I want you to think about this. There are no comments from you, please. There you go. It's a thermometer. Think about the temperature of meetings. Often variation and problems in meetings have to do with the stakes involved, the size of bet involved, the amount of risk, the amount of confidence. That's what I mean by temperature. And another one, I guess, is just thinking about people, relationships. And definitely what I think Gretel was talking about before around interpersonal dynamics. What are the relationships going on within a meeting like that? Now, I'm aware that's not updating. So as I just, oh, there you go. So that's the first thing. It's good to sort of break down the substrate of what we're dealing with here. Now, why am I showing you this? It's because all of these things are within our control to change. A lot within our organizations and working with clients, it's not within our control. But when it comes to the meetings we have, we may well have this amazing opportunity to create an oasis from everything else going on, to make a space as safe and productive and as creative as we want by paying attention to these elements. Does that make sense? Yeah. Something else I want to impress upon you is thinking about mindsets. Hopefully this will catch up in a moment. Now, what do I mean by mindsets? I will sort of stop this and reshare again because I need you to see what it is that I'm seeing. Apologies for this clunkiness. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it doesn't. I honestly don't know why. Alrighty. Now here's something I'm sure you've seen a lot, this whole sort of double diamond thing. We've got discover, define, design, deliver. Have you all, can you all see this on my screen at the moment? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, cool. And I'm sure you're aware of this, being the very good, bright, good-looking designers that you are. Now, firstly, I should say too, I know that there's the divergence and convergence. Me personally, and in my own experience, I've seen there's actually a third space of emergence, and that's what's sort of going on in these middle areas. In between the diverge and converge, there's often some emergence. This is where synthesis can happen. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because often we just assume that we have the same people in the same activities in the same process. And here's where the thinking about the right mindset comes in. So if you're in Discover, it's all about research, can be quantitative, qualitative, both. You really have an explorer mindset, don't you? You're out there problem hunting, hopefully outside of the building, physically or metaphorically. You have an explorer mindset. You want to, see what else is out there. You've got your product goggles off for the time being. But then sooner or later, you bring all this back, and then you have a scientist mindset. And here's where I think design in general, and I think lean and agile in particular, borrow from the language of science when they talk about hypotheses, things like this. So a scientist mindset can sift through all the information and distill down into that magic problem statement or that opportunity. So there's a scientist mindset there. And then, of course, once we get into trying to come up with ideas based on the design challenge that we set for ourselves, then we have an artist mindset, the sort of mindset that, is more fluid, more unstructured, more divergent, eager to go where other brains tend not to go. So an artist mindset. And then, of course, when it comes to deliver, here's where we're prioritizing, and we have an editor mindset. And anyone who's ever worked with an editor knows what it's like. They go through their work with a red pen, ruthlessly summarize, distill, get rid of that. We don't need that anymore, make choices. And that's how we converge into a solution. So do you see what I mean by these different mindsets? So what I want to impress upon you is there's not like a correlation between a particular role and a mindset. I've worked with designers who are very exploratory. I've worked certainly with researchers who are exploratory. I've worked with researchers who are very much analytical and they're great at synthesis. They have that scientist mindset. I've worked with stakeholders who are, ruthless editors, and other stakeholders who are really good at being that scientist mindset. The point I'm trying to make is here, and this is particularly when you have meetings that are multidisciplinary, you've got the whole team in, you need to help everyone understand the mindset to have when they come into the work of each of these phases. Because if you don't, that's when you're going to start getting tensions happen. And there's a great book, I've got it right here, The Facilitator's Guide to Participatory Decision Making by a great bloke called Sam Kainer. And one of the things he talks about is this groan zone. And you know it, you've been here. You know those times when there are some people that are just itchy to get going. Come on, we've been doing this enough, let's go, let's go. And you've got others in the room who are going, are these ideas good enough? Do we need more ideas? Can you relate to that? Has that ever happened to you? What's going on there is this tension of different mindsets. Now, sometimes you might be in the right mindset at the right time. Sometimes you won't be. So it's not like an individual personal thing, but it's something that I think we need to have more self-awareness about. And it's something we need to educate others about. So if we are going to go into divergent brainstorming time, not a good idea to have editors in the room. Or if we have people in the room who have a proclivity to an editor mindset, help them be more aware that, look, you're going to feel itchy. You're going to feel there's a time where you want to move on and others don't. What I need you to do is understand that, but don't fight it, and don't try to verbalize it in ways that, put others down, that suffocate others' ideas and so on. Does that make sense? So as a way to design meetings, mindset is important. Okay, I've banged that drum long enough. Let's move on to the final thing. And the final thing is this. The third thing, decide what to optimize for. Now, what do I mean by that? Think back to the road trip activity that we did, yeah? And as someone so clearly said, it might have been Annalisa, I forget, apologies. Someone said, no, you can't, this isn't the one road trip. We can't all go on this one road trip. You know, one road trip doesn't suit all. So sometimes I think, sure, it's great to optimize for the outcome. Do we want to have a clear problem statement? Yes. Do we want ideas that are matching the purpose for what the ideas are for? Yes. But always think of these meetings, these gatherings we do as an experience of a bunch of meat sacks that are coming from a bunch of other meetings during the day, different mindsets, to help design the experience for them. So quick example, you know, when you want to go somewhere, you open Google Maps, stick in the destination, and you get that lovely blue line. And I think by default, it gives you the most direct way, but it might give you a more indirect way in a gray line. Now, why is it giving you two different lines there? Anyone want to shout out a reason?
Could be avoiding tolls, could be, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
That is not actually in Google. So that an accident in front of you. What do you do? Where do you go?
Right. Oh, that's another thing entirely. I wish I had another half hour for that. So look, we could optimize our design meeting. You said trying to draw onto a hidden layer. We could optimize for speed. Go. Okay. To optimize a meeting for speed, you need tight structure, don't you? You need clarity. You need everyone we are super clear on what they're there to do, and it needs to be predictable. Now, that might be what you need. Or you might want to optimize for creativity. Like I think there was a road trip around, like it's good to get lost, you know? So maybe, you know, hey, let's go over there and oh, look, a squirrel, you know, and oh, you know what? We don't even want to go to that first little marker. We want to go here instead. Creativity, you know, that's loose structure and it's unpredictable, and it gives people with, you know, business mindset the heebie-jeebies. Yeah. Do you want to optimize for creativity? You might need to. And the third example is, you know, connections. So say you've got a few new people on a team. Well, say it's a big piece of work. You're at the beginning. You've got several teams. They've never worked together before. You need to optimize for connection, for safety, you know? So maybe, you know, you're going to kind of go up here and it's nice and structured. It's loose. It's a loose structure. It's predictable. So the point I'm trying to make here is you can have the same design meeting, but you can optimize for a different experience. Any questions or comments on that?
Ben, you got any thoughts on at what point in a project, let's say, that you should be optimizing for speed versus creativity versus connection? I mean, would you say creativity would be the beginnings of a project when you're looking for new stuff, the explorer part, as you were saying?
Great question.
Or did I jump to your,
yeah.
Or did I just jump to your next bit?
No. I'm just inserting this because I think it's a great question. Sometimes I think of this sort of funnel of certainty, where at the beginning, there's more ambiguity, more uncertainty. By the end, we should be, you know, pretty clear of what it is that we're shipping. We should have reduced our risk, reduced ambiguity. And so up around here, I think is the time to be more creative, to be more exploratory, where you're not really optimizing for speed, you're optimizing for insight, creativity. And then the further you get to, you know, sort of D-Day to launch, I think the less room there is for that looseness, the less room there is any insights, you should have them by now. It's just about execution. And so I think it's a really good point you call out. And even here, I think there's some tensions that can come up where, you know, I've been in design critique meetings, for example, where someone might be presenting some work at this point. There's only a couple of weeks to go before launch. We're really down to the, you know, final I's being dotted and T's crossed here. And someone starts giving feedback about, well, have you thought about this edge case and have you thought about this persona? Yeah, no. We're done. We're done. You know, you should have talked about that back here.
It's something Seth Godin sort of writes and speaks about a lot. He says, you know, you have more people in the meetings, in the project right at the beginning, so you can thrash all you want. But as you go, as you said, the funnel of certainty, the further along you go, you start throwing people out of the room saying, we're done. Like you, Mr. CEO, you know what we're going to do now. You've given the nod, get out of the room because we're now into production, and don't come back at that point to say, my wife really likes the color blue. Have you ever considered that for a button? You kind of go, he is the CEO, right? So how do you deal with something like that at that point, you know?
Yeah. So on that, and that's a great issue because it happens all the time, doesn't it? This is what I mean by decide what to optimize for. Are we optimizing for the brief? Are we optimizing for the use cases, the user stories, the job stories? Are we optimizing for moving a metric? Are we optimizing for a CEO's ego? Like whatever it is, own it. You know, like, ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to take this in because I've been in these situations so many times, and I'm sure you have too. And people talk about trade-offs, don't they? You know, it's true. We can't have it all. But please don't confuse trade-offs for compromise. They are different. And I found this at Atlassian all the time. We were trying to kind of get some design debt down, you know, trying to get remove bugs and things like this. And we'd saying, yeah, it's a trade-off, you know, and we're going to have to stick to this timeline. And all they were doing was compromising. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't quality to any particular outcome. It was just wishy-washy and trying to do it all and not doing any of it well enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so maybe I'll just to make sure
trade-offs hurt.
Just to make sure it makes sense, I might ask it as a question. So it's almost like the trade-off is you need to prioritize, you need to decide what you do and what you don't do. But if you do too much, you probably start having to compromise on quality because you're trying to just take too much in.
Yeah, coming from a project management background, like it kind of follows that time, cost, quality. You can only pick two. So how does that sort of fit in sort of design meetings or design in the design world? Because I'm thinking if the duration of the project is highly accelerated or constrained, then you would potentially need to optimize meetings or the project for speed. Or are you just kind of viewing this from a more, I don't know, a broader perspective?
Great question. I would, yes, to a broader perspective. And what I mean by that is, if we are going to think about time, think about the overall budget of time available. If there is complexity and ambiguity and sort of, you know, large scale stuff going on, it sounds like there's more time needed at the beginning to work that out. So that first sort of milestone, that checkpoint, in things of larger ambiguity, complexity, I'd say will be pushed down. So this is the cliche, you know, slow down now to speed up later on. I think it's perfectly fine to look at a time budget, look at the requirements and the kind of dynamics of the project going on to say, okay, last time we cut up the time in this particular way. That's not going to work this time around. Why? Because there's more ambiguity. There's some more uncertainty going on. The Cynefin framework is a good little help.
Awesome.
as a sort of a sense-making device to help with this as well, like complexity and uncertainty. And I think the way we can add rigor at this point is to put in some checkpoints along the way. And maybe checkpoints are a new kind of meeting that you want. Like, we all want another meeting like a hole in the head. I get it. But if it's a meeting that helps people come together to say, is this enough to move on? Yes or no? Are we willing to take this amount of risk forward? If we are, brilliant, go. Otherwise, there's a good reason to stop and do some work, or to see if we can have more time. Yeah, and I'm always asking about why certain timelines are in place. Time is often arbitrary. Why? Because it's easy. Why is it easy? Because we're ruled by calendars. You know, everything is in the calendar. Yeah, I know that's a bit of a half answer, Disco. What do you reckon?
There seems to be missing a summative, or the information you're going to collect before the next project. So if you get to near the end of this one, and all of a sudden some great idea comes out, and it's too late to include it. That's why there's always this summative in the design loop.
Summative, did you say?
Yes.
Like that?
You know, you're summing up what was missed, what was wrong, what could be done better.
Yes.
Ready for the next project.
Yeah, and you can feed that intel back in the next one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Which
Yeah.
ironically probably hopefully shouldn't be that far up the curve either, because by getting that feedback means you're probably hopefully less ambiguous as well.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, all of this I know is a lot to think about, and this is a really cool discussion. But what I want to do now is to tip it over to you, dear ladies and gentlemen. Back in the Miro board, you'll find there's the third panel there with a fourth question about how we might improve our design meetings by design. And just as a bit of a shorthand, I've got 3 pictures there, you know, roughly the same as what I drew. These are some factors I'd like you to think about. So think about, as I said, the materials involved in a meeting, those levers that you can pull, you know, the spaces we make, how we use calendars, how we use agendas and structures, how we handle risk, who we have in the room and who we don't. Think about mindsets. Do you have tensions in the meetings that you might be able to fix by paying more attention to dialing up certain mindsets and dialing down others? And the last thing, what do you want to optimize for to make it more, you know, the experience more effective? What kind of road trip is appropriate, in other words? Okay, last breakout group.
Did you
Ready,
still
Mr.
want?
Pekovic?
Did you still want 8 minutes?
How are we going for time? I think 8 minutes would be all right. Would that be all right?
Same as last time.
Yep.
Excellent.
All
right. And can I please say, look, be selfish. Like, think about, look, I've got this meeting next week. I'm really flummoxed how to make it better. You know, and here's an idea of how I might make it better, or ask each other, you know. So you know, all the regular sort of things apply in these sort of meetings. You know, no biting, kicking, scratching, spitting. Oh, sorry, no, that's the other meetup. No, what I mean is,
we strongly encourage
to
that,
each
yeah.
other. Listen to each other, ask each other questions. Again, try to dig for insight. I really want you to walk away from this evening with some new nugget. You go, you know what? I'm going to use that next week. Okay. Give it a good red hot go, and I'll see you in 8 minutes.
Yes.
Have fun. You should have an invite now. And you can hit pause on the record. There was
Actually,
a
on that point, the technology is really good because you can watch the meeting in times 2 speed if you can understand what's going on.
Yeah, I'll fast forward is.
there was a guy
Like a Benny
last
Hill
year.
show.
There was a guy last year in the lockdown, I think in the US, who actually did it as he worked for BuzzFeed or one of those, and he rocked up to the daily meeting just with a pre-recorded video and some chiming in with a few statements, and he wasn't missed. And then he wrote a big article about it. So.
Right, yeah. That's like, I think that's bordering on that comment about too many people in a meeting. That Mum was saying, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing about recordings is that recordings are good in terms of it, getting an opportunity to catch up, but they're not very, you can't participate in a recording, that's the problem.
That's right. So if you want to optimize just for information dispersal, brilliant. If they didn't need to be in the room, brilliant. Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit like, sorry, can I use the analogy of learning to play the guitar by video? The video is not going to tell you you're any good. You're just going to keep playing along, and then the video is not going to go, hang on, that's great, you got it.
Yeah. I'm very, very keen to hear. I know time's short, but I'm very keen to hear any particular comments, insights, great ideas, breakthrough ideas that came up.
And I'd love to hear the backstory to Gretel's message to Denise about liberating structures.
I'm a big fan of liberating structures, yeah.
So we were just talking about how back on the numbers of people in the room in the meeting to get effective collaboration. And so she said she had a big group, and I said we recommend bringing it down to small groups. I don't know if anybody remembers originally when we started going into breakout rooms and Zoom rooms, it used to be like 6, 7, 8, 9, and now people's preferences to, particularly for that first connection, to bring it down to 2 or 3 people, because you actually get around people when you get a decent amount of connection. But they're liberating structures for brainstorming and ideas on 1, 2, 4 all if you're face to face, but there's a version of it online which goes 1 in, depending on, and then bringing back those ideas to the all was what I was just about to share, and we got cut off. So I hope that's helpful. But there's also an app if people don't and it's free from liberating structures, and all the methods are online.
Thanks, Gretel. Yeah, there's so much gold in that set of methods. Big fan of liberating structures. Yeah. Anyone else? Any particularly interesting ideas that came up? Kevin, we've heard from you. If that's all right, can we hear from someone else?
Oh, I was just going to say, yes, someone from my group should talk about it. Kate. Oh, she's gone.
Oh,
I'm here.
Okay.
oh, there she is.
Go.
We were just talking about the different thinking styles and how good that is to have the different mindsets at the different stages. And the way I usually do it is to start with a retrospective. So you don't end with a retrospective, but you start with it. And in there, you do the diagnosis, or actually Kevin proposed that you do the diagnosis. I totally agree with that. And then immediately you look at the success factors. What would the perfect outcome look like? And then you explore scientists, then you go into the design thinking process.
Nice.
So this is super helpful. Thank you.
Great stuff. I love it when good, fruitful conversations happen when you bump people together in these rooms. That you'd never be able to plan, and even that, like, you can optimize for serendipity, if you like. Yeah. Look, ladies and gentlemen, my time is just about done. What I do want to leave you with is, if it's all right, I'm just going to bring everyone to this part of the Miro board. as you can probably guess, training on this stuff is my jam. I am passionate about trying to help others work better together. I really am passionate about trying to unlock the sort of potential that we know is in the people we work with in these meetings. And the way, all the methods like liberating structures and all the other frameworks out there, we know they work. And so often it's more about the people and the interpersonal dynamics. And this is where the craft of facilitation can really help. And here's where I want to help you. I've got a special 20% discount code for you. Surprise, surprise, the discount code is design thinking. One word, design thinking. At the moment, I've got 4 classes going at the moment, and they're all tailored toward different areas that people tend to find tricky. That's strategy and planning, collaboration and engagement, discovery and innovation, and alignment and decisions. That's a popular one, alignment and decisions. And each class is 2 hours online, real time. So you get to ask questions and have meaty discussions. It's not just watching a bunch of short videos. And I've got them scheduled in, I think it's a couple of weeks' time now, September and October, either in the morning, 9 to 11 a.m. or 5 to 7 p.m. So I got you covered. Because I love this tribe so much, that's why I'm giving you all the opportunity for that 20% discount code, design thinking. I also want to help you be a better decision maker. So that discount code runs out at the end of September. So get on it. Just go to brightpilots.com. Do have a look and see if any of these training classes are for you. Looking forward to seeing some of you there. And I will hand it back to Ben.
Yo, and I'll hand it back to Lucas.
Look, just one more plug for Ben's courses, because there's a guy in my team that was doing exactly what Ben spoke about. He'd go into sessions and he'd go straight into detail and lose everybody. He actually went and did one of Ben's courses and took a lot out of it. So I think even if it's not for you, if it's someone in your team who could get a hand just trying to structure and frame the global out, getting at the right altitude, then drop into the detail. It really helped him. So, and thank you for that, Ben, as well. Yeah. But anyway, so look,
just drop that in the chat. Did I get the details right, Ben? Anything I need to change there?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. 20% off, end of September. Design thinking is the code. Yeah. And yeah, brightpilots.com. That's it.
Easy.
But yeah, so look, but again, thank you so much, Ben. I always love that your stuff is always interactive. It's always engaging. I had a lot of great conversations and a lot of insights shared from everybody else in my breakout rooms. I'm hoping everyone else had the same experience. And even in this, when we bring all that back into here and synthesize that, and always love watching you do your live drawings. It adds a new dimension. Actually is really, really engaging. So thank you again. A round of applause.
Thanks, Apes. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
What about questions?
I actually want to do an experiment. Can we all go off mute and clap our hands and see if we can make it sound like real applause?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
Can we all go off mute? Can everyone go off mute?
Only picks up one. It only picks up once.
Ah, damn it.
Oh, that's okay. I I heard it anyway. I
can feel it.
I can feel the energy.
Ben.
Thank you very much.
There needs to be an applause button.
What about
somewhere.
questions for Ben?
Yes. Are there any questions? Do we want to do a Q&A before we close off the call?
Did you paint your own background, Ben?
I did, actually. Yeah, I did. The people before us had it as a dark blue feature wall, and I thought, oh, I can't be bothered putting about 4 coats of paint over, so I turned it into a mural instead.
Very nice.
Thanks, man.
You do commissions?
No.
You could just do like cut out like Letraset ones. You can just send them out.
You know what I did do? I got a friend who I did a painting as a wedding present, and my mate Nathan, he said, "Oh, It's nice. I wouldn't mind just having that mural. So I painted.
Here we go.
I painted it. I'm still here. Oh, where is it? I don't want to waste time. Here it is. Look. I did like a mini one. I did like a mini one for him. He doesn't know this, by the way. So you're the first ones to see it. Here you go.
And everyone on Facebook who watches this video.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other books that we should read? Or?
Awesome question. Another good one is, I'm a big fan of this book by Priya Parker, The Art of Gathering. That's a really good one. It's very all-purpose. It's not just about work meetings, it's all sorts of meetings. So if you have any other areas in life that, you get together and you want to have effective conversations, that's a really good one. And Facilitating Collaboration is a nice one by Brandon Klein and Dan Newman. I like that one as well. Yeah. And the other one was by Sam Kainer. It's an oldie but a goodie. Facilitator's Guide to Participatory Decision Making. Big mouthful. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you for your insights. Maybe we can share a few links in the meetup group or in the LinkedIn group chat. Just if anyone wants to dig in a bit deeper, and maybe we can also share a few insights. And I think you've got your Icebreakers book, you've got your Presto sketching book. If anyone is interested in seeing and doing what Ben does, learning a bit of that drawing. But then we'll put also all the links maybe to the books that you've just recommended as well from a facilitation perspective. I know we spend a lot of time in meetings, so I think one of the if I think about it too, one of the superpowers that everyone talks about now is to be a really good facilitator. It's really valuable because you actually maximize everybody's time, you maximize the productivity. You get in and out really quickly, get to an outcome. Because who says a meeting has to be 30 minutes or an hour? I think that's again when Ben used the example of we let time dictate what we do. If you go and have a meeting for half an hour, I guarantee you fill out half an hour, probably even 40 minutes.
I'm a big fan of saying that. Why let the calendar tell you what to do? Real super quick rant. And you know how people say, robots are going to take our jobs, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's the problem. And I think the problem we all need to be very, very careful about is all our tools and technology is turning us into robots. Like software doesn't care what time of day it is. We do. Software doesn't have families. We do. Mm-hmm. Software doesn't sleep. We do. We've got to reclaim our humanity. Each and every meeting that we have together, each and every gathering that we have, that's the opportunity to do that together.
That's a really great ending, because you talk about designing meetings, you talk about human-centered designs, and I think we actually touched on this. Like, we should spend time allowing ourselves to connect in meetings, even if you're focusing on speed or you're focusing on creativity. There should still be an element of let's come into the meeting room as human beings and leave as human beings, and not get stuck in a process. So I think
100.
Great way to end the session, and great little rant. Ben.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, look, I think we'll end the call there. Thank you everybody for jumping on and being again very engaged. Great to see everybody's faces and smiles and having some engaging conversation. And we'll look forward to doing it again next month. I think next month we've got SparkFest, and I was going to get you to plug it, Ben, but I think I won't get you to plug it because Ben's actually going to be part of the star of the show. He's actually releasing a book. Maybe Ben, do you want to talk about your book and your sense of purpose? No.
But next month is 14th of October, and part of Spark Festival, which we align with every year. And the theme is design thinking in social enterprise startups. And I'll be doing at least one of the talks. And there's the link to the meetup page. And then I might talk a bit about my book.
Which I think has been a very cathartic experience. And I don't know if anyone on this call voted for, I think Ben put out a vote and Puzzle Heart won, which is my favorite. So I'm looking forward to my
38% of the vote. So
looking forward to my signed copy, Ben.
Absolutely.
When we can meet in person.
Yeah.
But, but I think I think it's going to be great because I think for those that are new and don't know Ben, he's very, very active in the social enterprise space, active in that B Corp space, and you run, I can't remember, what's the name of the organization that you run around that social enterprise?
I'm a founding board member of the Social Enterprise Council for New South Wales and ACT, which is the peak body for social enterprise, and that's those two states and territories.
And in the ecosystem, BEM's a massive enabler for those startups that want to do something with a purpose. So very, very heartfelt. So I think it's very appropriate. The Puzzle Heart won the. You
just got the job as my publicist, mate.
Yeah, mate. Look, I think the amount of connections you have and in that space and the amount of impact you've had, I think it's appropriate that you have a book out there. So. I think it'd be great to share your experience. So I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll see most of you guys back here again next month to share some of Ben's wisdom. We'll hear from some of Ben's wisdom, but some other social enterprises that we'll have speaking next month.
And it is all about taking a design thinking, human-centered design approach to designing, building and launching your social enterprise ideas. So very much on topic of human-centered design thinking.
And, sorry, James.
Interesting. A lot of information in there. I hope you hear something good, Ben.
I'll do my best, mate.
Thanks.
And and I think on that note, like it is Are You OK Day. So thinking about that human side of things, do take some time to reflect on your own well-being, seek help if you need it. If you are in a spot of trouble, I know we are going through lockdown, sometimes can be tough. I quite liked it. I don't know if anyone has seen the ad. I only came across it last week. There's the Apple HomePod ad, where this lady comes into a house and says, Siri, play me a song. And then she sort of has this moment of escapism in her own mind, in her own apartment. And it's quite, like what I got out of that though, is the fact that regardless of the situation you're in, if you can control your mindset to be somewhat positive and find that space, even if you're in an enclosed space, find that space in the mind, find that space to sort of somehow break free, whether it's through music, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through, find some sort of practice that will give you an opportunity to let yourself feel a bit free in the moment when we feel like we're locked down. So have a look at the ad. I think it's amazing ad. It's actually, it may look like it's all CGI. It's actually a physical set. When you see it, it's actually a physical set that actually moves. So watch the making of the video as well. It's quite interesting. But yeah, anyway, that's me self-reflecting on that and finding a bit of solace in the lockdown period. So, but do look after yourselves and yeah, hopefully we'll see you all back here again next month.
Thanks everyone. Great to see you all.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
See ya.